Welcome into the latest edition of Extra Time. We've got Craig Burley here in the studio alongside myself, Kay Murray, Frank LeBuff is joining us, and Gab Marcotti as well. First question is about Girona. Do you think Girona will collapse after today's results? Well, we spoke to you about this in the main show, Craig. What do you...
This result wasn't a bad result. Nobody's been to Betis
and won
this season. And up until, what was it, 87 minutes or thereabouts, they had it in the bag, and they started sitting a little bit deeper. I won't go into the whole game. But no, I mean, they did not go down to Seville, play poorly, get taken apart, and they're going to go into the winter break on a downer. They went down there, dominated the bulk of the game, were under a little bit of pressure at times, created some chances of their own, got a penalty, Dovkit, the big Ukrainian, slid it away, and a point looks like a bad result for them because of the winning position they were in, but on the scale of everybody else going down playing against Betis here, it's actually it's not a disaster.
It's not a disaster. What do you say, Gab?
No, I mean, by collapse doesn't mean that they won't win the title. I don't think they'll win the title, but if by collapse you mean that, will they slip out of the top four? I don't think so. Not when you look at all the issues that, some of the chasing pack have. Barcelona, Atleti. Well, we saw them the other night. That draw with Getafe I thought was really disappointing. And let's not forget all of Real Madrid's injuries and the fact that Real Madrid obviously have European football to contend with, like Barca and Atleti as well, which Girona don't have to contend with. And the fact that, let's not forget, who's bankrolling Girona. If they need to make some signings to strengthen the squad in January, I think they can find the money to do that. Does it mean they'll sign Erling Haaland? No, but they can get guys in if they think that they need them. As well. So I think having come this far, no, I don't think Girona are going to collapse at all. As Craig said, a draw at Betis is not a bad result.
I mean, that's the one thing people come back quite a lot and they say, the City group are bankrolling the club. Well, yeah, they're behind the club, but they're not exactly, as Gab said, throwing fortunes at it. I mean, at the back, you look at the back line, Eric Garcia, struggled at Man City, struggled at Barca, kind of a bit of a cast-off. Daley Blind, as I said to you in the show, I thought he'd retired. He's playing as well as ever, actually. And then you look at Dovkit up front, big Ukrainian, they signed from Dnipro. And Stuani's 37, the Uruguayan. He's 37, still scoring goals, coming off the bench most of the time. So, yeah, they have backers and maybe get some loan players, but they haven't gone out, but they have never spent more, I believe, I read something, never spent more than 7.5 million on a player. Never finished higher than 10th in the Liga. This is a genuinely great story thus far.
And do you know how you know Craig's serious, Frank, is when he takes to Twitter, to X, to actually stick up for Girona as well, against all those doubters and haters.
People were trying to suggest...
Oh, my God.
Well, I was definitely on board.
I was trying to compare to Leicester,
The world
Frank.
is frightening. The world is frightening.
I like this softer side of
Craig
Craig.
goes on Knicks.
Well, no, Leicester was, I was saying this is a bit of a Leicester story, but sorry, Frank, it's a bit of a Leicester, and it's not comparable because there's Premier League, but people one or two numpties were saying, well, they got the City group behind them. Leicester, yeah, that was an amazing story, but Ranieri it was an amazing job. He walks in there and they've got this group of players and they're sort of galvanised. They've got a guy up front that's scoring goals, they've got a back four that was solid, but they had a lot of Premier League money going into the bank over all these years. They didn't just pop up Leicester City and go, we're here and we've got no money and we're going to win the league. They had a reasonable budget with the Premier League money. They went out and found players like N'Golo Kante and others. So whenever you try and compare and contrast, they're never quite the same. There's always people just come out and go, oh, it's not the same. They've got this and they've got that.
Miserable people. Can't enjoy, can't have any festive spirit.
Exactly.
Now, the thing, guys, I think it's quite funny that we just talked during the show about that Super League, that are good for the big clubs and everything, that you have Aston Villa in the Premier League, Girona in Spain, Bayer Leverkusen in Germany. I know it made me think about Lille, winning the title against Paris Saint-Germain not too long ago, like Leicester, like just mentioned Craig. I think it's what we like. During the show, Craig said, we love nice stories, we love fairy tale, and hopefully one of those clubs, those three clubs this season, is gonna show us a little bit of something special in the world of football. I don't like elites. I don't like, especially in football. I want to see everybody showing what is capable what they're capable of doing. And Girona is absolutely magnificent. What they do, the way they play, what they offer to the world of football, is absolutely fantastic. So hopefully it's going to carry on like that.
Yeah, we expect you to take to social media too now, Frank, to say so. All right, for Gab, which bigger club in Europe will be Thiago Motta's next destination?
Ooh, that's a really good one, because obviously, Thiago Motta has got legacies all around Europe, from Paris Saint-Germain to Inter, of course, to Genoa, to Barcelona when he was younger in his career. I don't know, because he's kind of had a go around already. I think it would have to be somebody that says, yeah, we're going to commit to a certain brand of attacking football. He's done a great job with young players. My guess is, the clubs where he has a past, I think the managers are all fairly solidly entrenched. But if he keeps this up, he's going to reach that category where maybe a mid-table Premier League team looks at him, or a bigger club in Serie A, or in France. I'm not so sure. I would imagine there's, should Marseille change managers if they get tired of Rino Gattuso, maybe someplace back there. But I think he'd think long and hard. If he managed to take Bologna into Europe, my guess is he'd want to stick around for that.
Let's talk.
Very good young Scottish player there, I believe.
Yes, there is a young Scottish player there.
Is it Lewis Ferguson? Am I right in saying that, Gab?
That's right, Lewis Ferguson, yes.
And he speaks, and I heard him do an interview recently, an after-match interview, and it was all rolled out, and I'm not going to say perfect Italian, in Italian. Wonderful, isn't it? Dan Thomas spent all those years in Madrid.
Craig's an excellent judge of what constitutes perfect Italian, but yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
No, he settled very well.
It's weird, Gab, when you hear a Scotsman talking Italian. Just that.
Well, they can
lingo.
do that already, right? Okay.
But no, the guy everybody's really excited, by the way, about, and who's been tremendous, and it's a great story. I'd love to get the guys in it. I heard Frank talking before about Benzema's development and guys like that. Joshua Zirkzee, when he was 18 and in Bayern Munich, he was considered, some kind of phenom, next big thing. Never quite panned out for him, bounced around, went to Parma, went back to Holland. And this season, people are comparing him to, a young Zlatan Ibrahimovic, which I think is frankly blasphemous. But, you have a big, tall, strong guy who's also a ridiculous passer of the ball and has got little man skills. And it's a night, and he's 22 years old now, and he's just hitting full maturity. And I think this happens more often than we care to think about. Guys who are talented, who especially center forwards, who we write off at 18, 19, and then, kind of work their way back in.
He's flying, isn't he? They kept the buyback clause on him, though, didn't they, Gab? Bayern.
They did, but I think it's quite a high buyback clause. I think it's like 30 million. And given that they've spent that enormous amount of money on Harry Kane, and given that they have Matisse Tell there, who they really, really like, I'm not sure that Bayern would necessarily sign him, or that he would necessarily want to go back if he's going to be sitting behind Harry Kane and maybe Tell as well.
For Frank, who do you think has had the biggest impact for PSG over the past decade, or the past decade plus? Zlatan, Neymar, Mbappe, or someone else?
I love Zlatan Ibrahimovic and the risk that he took to come to Paris Saint-Germain. Yes, and his personality, his impact into the dressing room, to the club, to the press as well. His charisma talks a lot about him. But I cannot avoid to you have to erase Neymar. Neymar had no impact whatsoever, or maybe a bad one. But Mbappe also, of course, choosing to go to Paris Saint-Germain, then after staying and not going to Real Madrid, has made an impact as well. But in terms of personality, Zlatan for me made the difference.
The next question, percentage chance that Middlesbrough actually win the Carabao Cup. So they're in the semis.
Oh, if they play against Chelsea, no chance if they play against Chelsea. You know that, Kay? It's history.
I know, but if they do it, it will be 20 years since they last did it. The only time they won a cup.
So they get they have 3 games, basically.
Yep.
They've got 3 games against Premier League opposition.
Yeah. Now, what's the percentage?
I'll be kind. 5.
All right.
Ooh.
For Frank, when were you more nervous? When you made your debut as a player or your debut as an actor?
I mean, you cannot compare football with anything else, or sports in general against anything else, because we have uncertainties. We don't know anything. You have duality, so it's hard, and you have to prove. You just start, you're a little bit lost. You want to prove to your coach and your teammates that you deserve to be there. But you're young, you're inexperienced. I think as an actor, I took 1.5 years acting classes, so I knew what I was going to. You need to have some flair. You need to choose something, but you have a script. You know exactly what the director wants from you, and normally it helps you to go there. So I would say I was much more nervous when I was starting playing for my first team, for my first game with my first team.
When I did my first film, I wasn't really nervous at all.
Did you ever have to do any acting in your footballing days, like for a local commercial or anything?
I think we did some commercial for a washing powder for the national team prior to the '98 World Cup, I believe. I can't remember much about it, to be quite frank with you. But no, not really.
Not really.
Not my scene.
Craig, what's the worst Christmas movie you've ever watched? I'll ask you all this.
I don't really watch Christmas movies. I'm just a TV guy. I watch whatever's on at the time.
Well, what's the best one you've ever seen?
Christmas movie? I don't know. I honestly don't know. Tell me some.
Is Love Actually a Christmas movie?
Love Actually?
Is Love Actually?
It's a Wonderful Life? No?
No.
Scrooge?
I don't know.
I know. Is it going to be an Italian one, Gab?
Right. No, it's not. My favorite Christmas movie is, it's A Wonderful Life. But otherwise, Rocky IV, which of course, wasn't just incredibly entertaining. It chronicled how, basically Rocky ended the Cold War single-handedly, and we all lived in peace and harmony since. The worst was when I watched very recently. If you have those streaming services where, some of them, okay, I'm going to say this I don't want to get anybody in trouble, but sometimes you have like those kind of cheapo streaming services on your TV that are kind of free, and you don't quite know what low budget films you might encounter. I watched one the other day called, I think it was it's called Krampus Reborn. Are you familiar with Krampus? Do you know what Krampus is?
No?
No.
All right. So basically, Krampus is German. I mean, had to be German. Krampus is kind of like Santa's evil twin, who kind of like people kind of summon him, and if you've got children who are misbehaved, and essentially he comes and he beats the children with sticks, and then he eats them. And there was a film, I think a 2015 movie with the guy from Parks and Recreation, which was all about Krampus, and that movie was kind of silly, but it was okay. But then I watched kind of like a low budget remake of this, kind of like a slasher Krampus film. And yeah, it was absolutely terrible, but I highly recommend it. And I think you'll find it on one of the more dubious streaming services. The other one you can watch it is on Amazon Prime. But
did he eat the kids? Did he eat the kids in this one?
I don't want to give it away, but yes, the kids do get eaten and they get kind of swallowed.
It's Home Alone
down. And, the dog as well, which was very sad.
Oh gosh. Yes, but Frank, to answer your earlier question, Love Actually is absolutely a Christmas movie.
Yeah, I loved it. I loved it and I watched it, and I love any Christmas movies because, I mean, it goes back to, you know, your childhood and everything, and it's unity of the family, the nice dinner, the nice gift. Everything is nice. It's romantic. I love Christmas. I love that part of the year, and I love decorations, trees, and I'm really looking forward to being on Sunday and opening my gift and seeing everybody all smiling, all being happy.
Yeah, we're really looking forward to receiving our
We had this discussion yesterday, and Shaka was on, I was on, Dan was on, and I told him yesterday, I go home and I'm into a bit of cold case murders, forensic files.
Well, maybe what Gab was watching would be a bit up your street then.
You know what I mean? So I'm not ready.
Santa eating the
Can't
kids.
beat solving a 1980s murder in Los Angeles. You know what I mean? Whoa, real fantastic.
Brilliant. There you go. The viewing habits of our panel tonight. Thanks so much for sending in your questions. We'll be back tomorrow to do it all over again. Join us then.